Hi everyone, let's talk about Manhattan Project Energy Empire. And this is one of the ones that kind of missed out on, 2016. It came out right at the very end and I had to wait until Christmas. So I'd already done my top 10 list, but so far with a few plays, I have to say that it's going on there. I don't know where, but it's going on there. I love this game. I've played it, I think I said in the playthrough, I think I've played it 3 times now. So still, early days with it, but I'm absolutely loving it. I don't think I have seen many of these cards at all. There's so much variability just in the way that these buildings are going to come out. I mean, in the solo game you saw, we didn't really get through much of this. There's not much in the discard pile at all, so there's still quite huge draw piles still left. In a two-player game you use a few more, but yeah, there's still a lot of stuff to come out, and the combinations that happen between these, because it's an engine building game, and if you can get the perfect combination of things in the very first game, I can't remember what my nation needed to impress the United Nations or help the United Nations, but there was an industry building I remember that did exactly that. So I leapt at that chance to have my UN needs satisfied just by one of the cards every round. It didn't work out in the end because I was quite lax on pollution, and Rachel was very, very strict and kept her environment clean and ended up winning by miles. And an important thing I learned from that game was the space that gives you one science and lets you look at the impact cards. I thought initially, I don't want to waste an action on that. It only gets me one science. Look at me, I'm going to the power plant, I'm drilling for oil. But knowing what these are can really help. You don't really need to know what the good things are in the early ones, but knowing what the bad things are, like when I knew that your 3 of your pollution is about to be flipped to nuclear, it's really good to know that, because then you can get rid of all your pollution and not have to worry about it. But when it's the early ones and the effects can be quite nice, it's very good to know all the way through the game, this line, the environment that's going to be scored when the impact flips. Knowing which one's going to be scored and clearing that line to get the full 5 every time can really make a huge difference, because I was stumbling through, sometimes getting 2 or maybe even 1 point for it landing on a line I'd really, driven down with pollution. And Rachel knew exactly which one it was going to be. Always cleaned up that line, always got the full 5 points. So you don't have to do that, but if you're going to miss out on all those points, you had better be doing something really nice with your engine, with getting all of these buildings and turning this into that and then that into points. You really need to work on that side if you're going to neglect the pollution. And that's a really nice thing about the game. There are so many things going on that you don't have to go for just the clean environment route. You don't have to pollute the whole thing either. You score points with the energy dice, the UN track, the buildings, the environment. There are a lot of different ways to score, not in a huge complicated way, but there are a lot of different strategies you can take, which I really like about it. The solo game as well, I didn't realize until my first game of it, I hadn't really looked at the solo rules, but I like that, not in exactly the same way, but it's got criteria to win, as you will have seen if you watch the playthrough. You have to have reached the last space of the UN track, you have to have at least 20 points from your achievements, and you have to score at least 100 points. Otherwise, whatever you've scored, you've lost, which is really nice. It's something I really liked in The Gallerist. I don't know if I said that already. I love in The Gallerist. It gives you tiers in The Gallerist, which I like a little bit more. But it's brilliant the way it is. In The Gallerist, you have to make a certain number of artists celebrities, have satisfied these particular cards, have got this much money, and it works really nicely there, because it's not just trying to beat your own score and having complete freedom of the game. You're still free to do what you want. There's still no other player here, but you know that by the end of the game, you need to have gotten all the way up this track. You need to have gotten all these achievements, which means you need to have generated 4 or 5 times to be able to grab, that many achievements. You start off with 1, and you'll need at least 4 to get 20 points. You'll need to max out 4, so you will have to have generated at least 3 times with 2 energy left over, and that's so so agonizing, because you want to use it to, maybe you could do one more action, or your big chain that you can trigger off, you want the whole thing to go off, but you want to keep the stuff back so you can get the achievements, which can be worth a lot of points at the end of the game, and they are absolutely necessary for the solo game. So really like that the solo game is not just, it imposes some conditions, tightens up a few spaces and things, but also it gives you conditions that you need to satisfy. You haven't just got complete freedom and you have to kind of force yourself to change the strategy every game. It's, these are conditions you've been given, these are the cards that are available, and the impacts that have come out. How are you going to achieve those conditions and try and get the best score before the end of the game? That's really nice. The nations as well. I think there's 10 nations in the game. There's loads anyway. There's a lot of choice between them. A lot of them are just like the US, where it's a different combination of resources, but some, like our first game, I was France, I think, who start off with a nuclear dice, which gives you a ton of energy, but it gives you nuclear contamination if it's the highest number rolled, which quite a few times it was for me. So that kind of didn't help me. I started with a nuclear dice and ignored cleanup things for most of the game, and got myself into a bit of a state with that. But yeah, you can start off with extra workers, start off with energy dice. There's a lot of variability in the startup from that, and you're going to get the different achievements, you're going to get the different buildings available. A lot of variability I can see in this game, and hopefully, not that there's not enough in the game already, but hopefully there'll be more, buildings and things available for it. I would love to see more from it. But who am I to be asking for more from it? I've only played it a few times and I've been loving it every time so far. I can't wait to play more. Another thing about the game in general is really, really quick. It's 1 to 2 hours on the box. I think our first game was a little over an hour, but the solo games, the playthrough was quite quick. And when I wasn't filming it, it was about 45 minutes. I was surprised just how much thought is going into all of this stuff, and you have to keep stopping yourself and saying, no, but I need to do the United Nations track. No, I need to do this so I can get achievements. There's a lot of thought going into it, and then when it's all over, you see, it's only been 45 minutes. That's crazy. That's something I really liked about Railroad Revolution. There was a lot of really interesting decisions and a lot of thought going into what was going on in the game. And when we finished it, it's like, what? It's only been that long? And yeah, really, criticisms of it, I don't really know. Nothing's really jumped out at me at the moment. Yeah, the only time that I felt a little negative is in our first game, when I realised that the track was running out and the game was about to end. That's the only criticism. I wish it had gone on longer, but because it's so short, you can just play it again. So far, nothing but love for Manhattan Project Energy Empire. And I'm hoping and guessing that will continue through other plays, because I definitely want to get this played more and more. Hopefully take it to our game group and play it with a 4-player game of it and see how that's different, because I've only played 2 and 1 at the moment. But anyway, I think I've gone on enough about this game. Love it, love it, love it so far. That is Manhattan Project Energy Empire. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye, everyone.